Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're taking another look at construction on the Broadway Subway Project in March of 2026. For those of you who are new to this project, it's a 5.7-kilometer extension of the Millennium Line with 6 new stations in Vancouver, Canada. Major construction started in May of 2021 with an expected completion date in the fall of 2027 at the cost of just under 3 billion Canadian dollars. We'll also be checking out some notable buildings along the way. Starting off at VCC Clark Station, directly beside it, the mass timber building known as the Hive is almost ready to be handed over to its new tenant, ICBC, for office fit-out. It's the first of several major buildings planned for this area. Moving along to the 700-meter elevated section, the center linear induction rail, or limb rail for short, has been installed. The alignment of the limb rail is very important as there needs to be a 12mm air gap between the fixed rail and the motor on the trains to work efficiently. Threaded rods are installed into the track slab, and then the limb rail is fastened and aligned to the correct height. Here's the jig that's used to install the threaded rod, loaded up for another track slab. The dual power rails have been installed along this section as well. They will deliver the 650-volt direct current required to run the trains. Some cables have already been pulled in the cable trays that sit under the center walkway. With the rails installed, work trains and carts can be used to help easily place additional components and cables. This photo shows the cart used to carry spools of cable. It's being pushed by a high rail pickup truck. This works train is being used to install power rails. Currently it's working on the more complex area around the pocket track switch, where limb rail still needs to be installed. Parapet sound barriers are being installed along the south side of the guideway. These barriers help reduce the amount of noise that would otherwise be heard from the ground level or in buildings directly beside and level with the guideway. It's part of SkyTrain's proven noise mitigation measures. There are many segments sitting on the guideway waiting to be installed. And as the guideway approaches the tunnel portal, the barriers step down neatly along the side. Nearby, we spotted these very small rail boom lifts that will be used to fit out the tunnels and stations. At the tunnel portal, the last short section of concrete walls and roof have been poured, along with a short wall on top. Looking down, we can see more cables installed in the trays. At Great Northern Way Emily Carr Station, crews have been busy over the winter. The head house has had almost all of its major concrete work completed. Workers are laying out conduit, piping, and rebar for the slab at the entrance. Sheets of plastic are hanging down around the head house to keep the weather out while work continues inside. These large spaces will have glass windows installed floor to ceiling in between the concrete columns. Inside, we can see the steel frame for the elevator that will go between the street level and concourse. Backfilling has begun on both sides of the head house. Waterproofing hasn't started on the station box roof just yet, as additional structures are still under construction. This one on the south end is for one of the ventilation shafts. Waterproofing is being applied to the sides of the station box, and at least one area has already been filled in with low-strength concrete. The fun really begins over at Mount Pleasant Station. With Broadway being closed for 4 months during the rebuild process, traffic was interesting for the first couple of weeks. But now it's in a manageable state. Just give yourself extra time if you plan on passing through. Now onto the rebuild. First, the road deck segments were craned out and removed, followed by the larger steel beams that support the segments. Then, lots of fill material was brought in and laid down layer by layer and compacted. Now it's at the stage where new utilities are being installed. Water mains, sewer lines, storm drains, and electrical to name a few. Some of the temporary lines are being daylighted by hydrovac for reconnection. All in all, it's a big job, and according to the latest publicly available report, it's on schedule. At the head house, there hasn't been a lot of visual changes since last time. Most notably, several sections of wall have had their last lifts completed. On the west side, the emergency exit stairs are now under construction. A new wall separates the stairs from the ventilation shaft on the right side. At Broadway City Hall, the diamond crossover on the east end of the station box has now been filled in as much as possible while still leaving room for road deck removal. Over on the station box, a large boom pump was setting concrete down under the road deck. We couldn't get the best view, but it looks like another vent shaft is being poured. On the west side, the connection from the outbound Canada Line platform to the Millennium Line concourse level has seen major progress. The roof slab has been completed over the winter and has had almost all of its orange waterproof membrane installed. The protective dimple mat has been laid down in some areas, as the structure will be backfilled in the next few months. Over the winter, the final sections of station box roof were completed. The headhouse has had more walls and slabs poured. We can see the clear outline of where the elevator shaft is. The level that's exposed now is the Canada Line platform level. There will still be another set of escalators from here going up to street level. Workers on scaffolding are preparing the wall and chiseling away concrete to expose pre-positioned rebar in the existing headhouse that the new structure will tie to. Going inside the station, we can hear the sound from the work outside. This wall was designed to be removed and will provide access to the new escalator hall. Down on the Canada Line platforms, both platforms are being extended by 10 meters on the north end. As of earlier this year, rail install throughout the tunnels has been completed. In all, about 22 kilometers of rail will be installed. Limb rail is up next and is expected to be completed later this year. Lights, radio brackets, and fire protection pipes are currently being installed. At Oak VGH, the headhouse is in a similar situation with most of the concrete walls at street level complete. Another large white tent keeps the elements out while the lower levels of the headhouse are fitted out. Much like other stations, the headhouse will feature large glass walls on the east and north sides. While we were there, a truck was delivering a fresh load of asparagus that was craned down into the lower levels in a bucket. Waterproofing is being applied to the last bits of exposed station box roof on the east end. Meanwhile, most of the station box is being backfilled. An excavator transfers fill material from dump trucks into the pit, where a small skid steer picks it up and distributes it. It then drives over it to lightly compact it before being properly compacted by a vibratory plate compactor. The two vent shafts on the west end of the box are nearing completion, with one now at street level. Just west of Oak Street, there is utilities work underway related to the station. Moving along to South Granville, there's actually a lot to see for once. With the tower crane removed over the winter, we can get a better look at the action. A concrete boom truck is sending concrete down into the station box through this opening. Beside the opening, crews are installing rebar for one of the ventilation shafts. A section of it has already been poured. All the vents here will be through the sidewalk, as there's no ability to vent through the station entrance, which is in the base of a 39-story mixed-use tower, which now has some residents moved in. On the east end of the station box, looking down, a pair of columns that supported a road deck beam have been removed. We can see a worker removing the last few remnants. This area will be for a ventilation shaft and the emergency exit. Several of the road deck beams have been cut off and removed. The remaining sections are supported by concrete pads built into the roof of the station box. This suggests that the road will be rebuilt on the north side first, and then traffic will be diverted onto the new section while the road decks are removed. This could mean that we won't see a full closure of Broadway here, which would be nice. Moving along to Arbutus Station, on the east end, the roof over the double crossover has been completed and is being backfilled. There's still one small opening which appears to be where concrete is pumped through. We also spotted the vibratory compactor used to compact the fill material. Over the winter, more fill has been brought in and compacted. As the fill level rises, more shoring has been removed. Forms are in place under a few road deck beams for new concrete pads to support them. It does look like Arbutus, which is the next station to have its road decks removed and street rebuilt, will also not require a full closure. Further along, more rebar is in place on top of the station box for ventilation shafts. And waterproof membrane has been installed on some more sections of roof. If you're a pedestrian walking by the project here, make sure to check out the updated information boards in the alcove at Maple Street and Broadway. The PR team for this project have done a great job of keeping these boards updated with interesting information and great visuals. By the head house, the final section of station box roof was completed during the winter. This was the area that was left open for access while the tail track tunnels were built. At the head house, forms are in place for the first street level walls, as well as another white tent to protect the station innards. South of Broadway, the future site of TransLink's first 30-story mixed-use rental building has had its buildings demolished and site cleared. There were already some prospective future tenants checking the site out for accommodations. A second, smaller entrance will be connected to the new building. The passageway for it now is having rebar installed for its walls. And that concludes our look at construction on the Broadway Subway Project in March of 2026. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next time.